Everybody, I wrote this today, feeling a little different today, and I hope this serves you. Truth as exploration, and how this might not be a bad way to approach it. Truth is today, and it changes all the time, that your truth is not something set in stone. And only very feeble human minds try to find and enshrine it in stone. For stone can only hold human opinion in desperate attempts to hold on to something that is not real at all. Unless it's hermetic and holds true for all people at all times and all ages and all ways. Or so I heard from teachers of that path, and I have to admit I have not yet come to such realization. Though it might be very helpful when able to embody and live from such truth. For everyone else today, the exploration is but the awareness that actually, as long as you are overattached to anything, an idea, person, a memory, trauma, a set of beliefs, or an old version of yourself, you're not truly free. You're a slave to the past, to happenstance, to circumstance, and basically to a very poor, not at all warrior like stance. Just a second, I need to do something. Sorry about this. Sometimes when I read, there's like noises, and then I can't read stuff. So I'm gonna make sure I have silence so I can continue reading this. Give the interruption. So, okay, here we go. You're a slave to the past, to happenstance, to circumstance, and basically to a very poor, not at all warrior-like stance. And a salve, though maybe not a soothing one, and a balm for that disease, maybe a stubborn loyalty to truth as it arises moment to moment, a letting go of control, sometimes kneeling and sometimes hitting through the wall, depend on what's truly required. That is the art of discernment, and in the world as it is, or seems to be, energetic discernment and boundaries are paramount. Not in a childish, I will go to the woods and never talk to anyone, become a 60 enlightened being and force my enlightened truth down other people's throats as many choose nowadays. And I've been guilty of it too. About a decade ago, I got my lesson that humility is a prerequisite for even starting to be able to pass any knowledge whatsoever. But it must be done in a much more humble way, which is at the same time dignified and honorable. Like the White One does in his poetry, or like the great Cohen, a true gentleman with a rascal mind and a pure heart demonstrated. Or Yeats, or any of the Russian writers in their own specific way. Because nowadays, almost everything you read on the internet has about 50-50 chance of being a more or less deliberate manipulation or direct psyop. And even the so-called critical thinking skill or doing your research, as essential as it may and be and often is, simply will not suffice. Science has mostly been sold to the highest bidder. Religion is mostly turning into a failing attempt to harvest souls. The arts has become sold to the one who can fill out a tender appropriately and sure the coins keep coming, as long one ascribes to woke or anti-woke or whatever version of ideology is required at a certain time by the powers that have been, that they're stubbornly refusing to die. As the art that glorifies this or that party, this or that ideology, this or that whatever the patron has deemed appropriate for the current thing. And if you add in AI and deepfakes and all the dark wizardry they can do, we are left with a bleak outcome. Unless we double down on restraint and ability to step back, breathe and discern through the charades, and use our God-given faculties to do our best, not to do our worst at discerning the truth. My agenda is clear. I want to share my outlook on the world in a beautiful way. It is also practical and will serve humanity to come through the next decade or so before the new earth is ushered in and the old world dissolves, more or less peacefully. That is yet to be seen. I have a need to be seen, a need to be acknowledged, and a need to write so my head does not explode. And I am as fallible as any human, as confused as any of you on any given day. So take this as pure entertainment or poetic meanderings and see if it inspires you to become a greater being that you previously hoped or dared or dreamed you could. If it does even a tiny bit of that, I will have succeeded. If not, you might still be inspired to live a day a bit more uplifted than you otherwise would. I do not have all the answers, and some days I need to find them on the page or the keyboard myself. I would recommend finding a practice that works for you. It will be your anchor in the storms to come. May the lore of the seventh sea not be too harsh on your emotional landscape. May Hermes, the thrice great one, leads you to balance, wisdom, and truths that cannot be tainted. May Odin and Freya be over your side, and may you never again have to hide. Blessings of love encourage meandering into the mystery, and may this Mercury of the seeming retrograde and Piscean flow give you rest, recuperation, and respite from the madness. Love you all, Samo Bohak. Let me know what you think. Feel free to comment and stay light, stay flowing. Bye bye.